As a Catholic, I am deeply disappointed by the position that the Catholic Church has taken now and over the past many years.
Tonight, the Prime Minister pressures Pope Francis to come clean over the 215 bodies found at the former Kamloops residential school.
Seguo con dolore le notizie che giungono dal Canada.
The Pope prays for the fallen children, but comes up short on a full apology.
My mom was a mother, she was a daughter, a cousin, a granddaughter.
And the man convicted of killing her mother 11 years ago is getting a new trial. Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Melissa Ridgen. APTN video journalist Tina House has just returned from Kamloops, BC, where she's been covering stories about the former Kamloops Indian residential school and the 215 kids found buried there. She's joining us from our bureau in northern Vancouver. So, Tina, can you give us an update? You know, what's the feeling in the community right now?
Hi, good afternoon. There's just an immense feeling of grief, really, in the community still. So many people are continuing to bring flowers and teddy bears and shoes and little toys and signs. I mean, just this weekend we had 215 truckers come from Kelowna all the way to Kamloops to show their solidarity. We had 50 Sikh men on motorcycles from the motorcycle club ride through as well to show their solidarity. So I think that the feeling of immense support is just pouring into Kamloops, Sequoiam, and so should be, because they're just dealing with a lot right now. Right now there's a lot of grieving and a lot of preparing and a lot of planning on what's to come forward.
You know, when are we going to hear more details about exactly what was discovered?
What I'm hearing is in about 2 weeks, so the end of June, they're prepared to release the preliminary findings of what they discovered. But what's new and what I heard last week at the press conference was it's actually not a mass grave. It's actually 215 little graves in a certain area. So we're hoping to hear more details about, you know, for instance, are there females? Are they males? You know, what age groups again? When can we find out how deep down they're buried? Where exactly on the property they're buried? And we also want to know more about the technology that was used to find them.
Mm-hmm. You know, you recently interviewed with radio programs, The Monocle and BBC Sunday Radio 4, both based in London, England. You know, how was news of the 215 children being found here received internationally?
Shockwaves have been sent right around the world, and it's just evident with the interviews that I was doing with the Monocle and the BBC. They just could not believe it. They could not believe that it's now 2021, the fact that the last residential school closed in 1996. I mean, they were just aghast at some of the information that I was revealing to them of what I've learned since getting onto this file. I mean, some of these stories are just so horrific and hard to believe. You just can't imagine, you know, people that were there under the guise of religion, under the guise of education, actually using this as their personal torture chamber against innocent little children. It just breaks your heart. So very well, you know, there should be more and more coverage on this, and I'm really glad to be speaking out internationally now, and more people need to know the horrific acts of what happened. And one of the main things that came out of the press conference last week with Kukbi Casimir was they want an apology from the Pope. Mm-hmm. They want an apology from the Church, and most importantly, they want those records released. They want to bring those children home to have a proper burial, and they want those records immediately so they can do their work.
So much more to this story ahead. As you just laid out, this isn't going away anytime soon. And, you know, we thank you here at APTN. We're so proud of what you've been doing on the ground there, Tina.
Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate the support. And I'm going to be there all the way through until we get some answers.
As she just said, leaders in Kamloops say that they want records returned and an apology from the Catholic Church. Well, the head of the Catholic Church is not apologizing, but at his regular Sunday address in St. Peter's Square, Pope Francis said he was pained by the discovery and led a silent prayer for the children.
Seguo con dolore
The Pope said, "I have been following the news with pain over the shocking discovery of the remains of 215 children in Kamloops, British Columbia." He went on to say, "This is a sad discovery, further increases our understanding of the suffering of the past." Well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was asked about the Vatican's non-apology at a weekend press conference. He had this to say.
As a Catholic, I am deeply disappointed by the position that the Catholic Church has taken now and over the past many years.
Residential school survivor Geraldine Shingoose has a message for the Roman Catholic Church. She ended up waiting more than 10 hours to deliver that message. Shingoose and other survivors fixed orange ribbons to the gates of Winnipeg's St. Mary's Cathedral in honor of the 215 children found in Kamloops. A meeting was scheduled last Friday morning with Winnipeg Archbishop Richard Gagnon, but he was 10 hours late. Shingoose says she was speaking for the children who never came home.
As survivors, it's our responsibility to bring out their voice, those little ones, because right now they don't have a voice. They're ancestors, so we need to speak. We're showing our love and support to BC, and that was the whole purpose, to show our love and support.
Shingoose said she is meeting with other Manitoba church officials later this week, and Archbishop Gagnon did not offer the apology that she had hoped for. Well, to Nova Scotia now, where the search began for graves at a former residential school, and a Mi'kmaq community gathered for a day of prayer for the 215 children found in Kamloops. Angel Moore brings us this story.
About 30 people came to the powwow grounds at Sabaganagati First Nation to honor the children of Kamloops Residential School. Elder Earl Sack is a firekeeper and a sundancer.
As an elder, I like to say that we're praying for them. We smoke our pipes for them. We do our ceremonies for them. No matter how far away they are, they're standing next to us. And that's what we think, and that's what we do. Yeah.
The only residential school in Mi'kmaq opened from 1930 to 1967. The National Center for Truth and Reconciliation has identified 16 children who died at the school, but people fear there are more. Sack says finding the truth will start the healing.
It finally come out in the open, and it's really good. It's really good. It has to be known out there around the world that what happened, you know.
A sacred fire, a pipe ceremony, prayers, and a feast. It's all ceremony that Elder Shirley Ann Nevin Taylor says was not allowed by the church.
Because as a child, we were not allowed to participate, or we didn't have anything like this when I was a child. And it was because of the church and what their beliefs were. Our spirituality didn't count at all.
As ceremony continued, an investigative team started the search for graves at the site of the former Shubenacadie Residential School. It was requested by Sabaganagati First Nation and led by Jonathan Fowler, anthropologist and associate professor at St. Mary's University.
So we're going to map all of it, and we're going to use multiple instruments, and we're going to bring that data to the community so that community members can then tell us where to look with the radar and other tools.
Fowler said the search will take a few weeks. The results will be presented to community members, who will decide how to proceed forward. Angel Moore, APTN, Sabaganagati First Nation.
A sentence in the death of Anishinaabe Barbara Kentner was handed down today in Thunder Bay. Braden Bushby received an 8-year prison term. Kentner died of injuries sustained after Bushby threw a trailer hitch out of a moving vehicle, hitting her in the stomach. Bushby was found guilty in December and has been awaiting sentencing. Justice Helen Peace said that Bushby's actions had both immediate and far-reaching impacts. Bushby applied for both bail and house arrest within hours of the decision, but he was denied. He's also looking to appeal his conviction. Calls to his defense attorneys have not been returned. Well, breaking news from New Brunswick, Public Prosecution Services says no charges will be laid against the police officer who killed Chantel Moore during a wellness check a year ago. In a statement today, the prosecution's office says the evidence showed the officer was responding to a potentially lethal threat and his actions were reasonable under the circumstances. We'll have more on that story tomorrow. Well, we need to take a break, but still ahead, an update on the sentencing of the man convicted of killing Cindy Gladu. Stay with us. Welcome back. Bradley Barton's sentencing will proceed in Edmonton 5 months after he was convicted of manslaughter in the death of Cindy Gladu. APTN's Chris Stewart is here with the latest, including the defense's attempt to get a mistrial. Chris?
Last week, Justice Stephen Hillier was supposed to sentence Bradley Barton for manslaughter. Instead, he was deciding on an application from Barton's lawyer, Dino Batos, asking for a mistrial. Barton was convicted in his second trial in the death of Cindy Gladu. She died from blood loss caused by injuries inflicted by Barton in an Edmonton hotel. Days after the conviction, Batos says he received a letter from someone claiming to be on the jury. He filed an application for a mistrial, believing the letter warranted it. The contents of the letter are under a publication ban. Batos believed that one of the 2 jurors who were excused during the trial were responsible for the letter. Justice Hillier said the letter held little weight as it was from an anonymous source. Barton's sentencing will resume at the end of June. Family members will be on hand to read victim impact statements. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
Thanks, Chris. Quebec's Indigenous Affairs Ministry is on a roll. Over the last week, they've made at least 3 major announcements that address commission findings or resolve long-term issues. Today's announcement involved a $14 million cash boost for Indigenous-led justice services. Minister Ian Lafreniere says the investment responds to 5 of the Vienne Commission findings. The $14.1 million will help improve existing justice programs at urban friendship centres. It will create new programs in First Nations, and it will also help hire more editor-writers for the Gladu reports. Quebec called it historic, but the Assembly of First Nation Quebec Labrador already sees gaps.
When you go into the reality of communities, it might fall short because, as stated earlier, there's a number of our peoples living in an urban setting, but it doesn't free the responsibility towards our communities when it comes to justice, because a lot of times, if not all the time, members that face the courts and the justice system from our communities have to go out.
The Vienne Commission isn't the only report Quebec is working with. Last week, the province announced that anti-violence calls to actions in the Quebec-specific MMIWG inquiry report helped guide a new $28 million plan to fight 2021's domestic violence crisis. Quebec called it a crisis earlier this year after 10 women were killed in 10 weeks. 2 of them were Inuit. So government officials introduced a new funding breakdown to culturally adapt domestic violence services. $10 million to support prevention and intervention services in northern Quebec. $9.8 million will go to Indigenous police forces, and an additional $6 million will go towards better healing programs for both Indigenous women and men.
Communities that could be isolated. The reason why today the announcement is so important, because not only we're investing money, we're putting resources, but we want that to be adapted to different communities. That's the reason why we're talking about culturally adapted, culturally safe, because we do that for and with First Nations.
Now to Ottawa, where temperatures reached the mid-30s yesterday, and a group of about 50 people gathered to honor a Cree woman who was killed nearly 11 years ago. The vigil happened just a few blocks away from where Jennifer Stewart was murdered. It was organized by her daughter. Because last week, the man convicted in her mom's death was granted a new trial, 5 years after being found guilty of first-degree murder. Bethany Stewart says the memorial will remain at Ottawa's Optimist Park for the foreseeable future. No trial date has been scheduled, but Sunday's vigil was more about remembering Jennifer.
My mom was a mother, she was a daughter, a cousin, a granddaughter, and there are so many people to this day that love her to death. The media portrayed her as something that she's not. It neglected to acknowledge any of the trauma she has been through throughout her life. And I think it's important that we begin to represent Indigenous women and girls in the media the ways that they deserve.
Today, Green Party leader Annamie Paul voiced her party's concerns on Liberal inaction. She's calling for the federal government to stop fighting Indigenous kids in court, stop dragging their feet on truth and reconciliation calls to action, and to make August 1st a national holiday commemorating the abolition of slavery in the British Empire. Paul said the killing of George Floyd last year and the recent mass grave discovered in Kamloops has drawn new national attention, and it's time for the government to act.
When these moments happen, the question that you always get asked, the question that I always get asked is this it? You know, is this finally the moment? Is this finally the moment, the discovery, the thing that changes things for good, that gets action where we haven't seen action in the past? Is this finally going to be the thing that replaces words with that concrete action?
COVID-19 cases in the 3 Northern Territories continue to drop. In the Yukon, there are 3 positive cases, all at a gold mine. Same in the Northwest Territories, 3 positive cases territory-wide. As for Nunavut, there is only 1 remaining positive case. It's in Iqaluit, which has led to a big change. Since March of last year, most people wanting to enter the territory had to quarantine in a southern hotel for 2 weeks. Today, the health department announced that starting next week, if you have both doses of a COVID-19 vaccine, you can now skip the quarantine. Nunavut's chief public health officer explains why.
The evidence that, the increasing evidence that the vaccines not only reduce the likelihood of somebody getting the disease, they also, getting the infection, they also reduce the severity of the disease, but they also slow the spread of the virus. So all of those things made it clear that it's time to do this.
Well, it's time for one more break, but when we come back, some serious flooding in parts of BC. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. Here's just some of the grads that are featured on our photo wall at aptnnews.ca. Kate, Connor, and Caitlin, congratulations to you as you start the next phase of your lives. You can check out the grads on our website or send us one that you're proud of. Email them to aptnnews.ca / photo wall. And for all other beauty shots, you can email them to us at aptnnews.ca. Share at aptn.ca, and you could be our next photo of the day. Let's take a look now at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting off on the East Coast, we've got 30 and some cloud for Charlottetown, 26 and sunshine for St. John's. Inukjuak, chance of flurries, 0 degrees, sunshine for La Grande River and 12. Val-d'Or, 30 and sunny skies at Gaspé, 28 and sunshine. 31 and cloud for Ottawa, Sault Ste. Marie, 30, cloudy skies expected. Sunshine for Sioux Lookout, 29 degrees there, 28 and sunny in Kapuskasing. Puckatawagan, some showers expected, 17 degrees, mix of sun and cloud, and 6 for Churchill. 31 for Winnipeg, sunny skies, cloudy with a chance of showers, and 28 for Brandon. 22 in showers for Saskatoon and North Battleford, 27 in sunshine for Yorkton. 18 and sunny for Buffalo Narrows and La Ronge, mix of sun and cloud, 21 for Meadow Lake. Peace River, sunshine, 20 degrees, rain for Grand Prairie and 15. 18 in showers expected for Edmonton, 22 mix of sun and cloud for Lethbridge. Kamloops, rain and 20 degrees. Quesnel, showers expected 15. Prince Rupert, sunshine and 16 degrees, 12 in showers for Prince George. Whitehorse, sunny and 19 degrees. Rock River, 15 and sunshine. Lots of sun in the NWT. Wati, 13 degrees, 20 for Norman Wells. 19 in Fort McPherson. Tuktoyaktuk, 14 sunny. Sunshine continues to Nunavut, Nuyat, 5 degrees. Whale Cove, 3. Igloolik, 3. And Pangatunga, mix of sun and cloud, and 3 degrees there too. Flood warnings have led to the evacuations of communities near Terrace, BC. The rising waters have even blocked road access to one First Nation there. APTN's Lee Wilson has more.
The Skeena River's water nearly touches the bridges. It's the second largest waterway in BC. Nearby, the Kitsam-Kalem River overflowed its banks. That led to the closure of parks and a boat launch. The regional district of Kitimat-Steichen issued evacuation orders, and another river swelled in the region. The Nisga'a government posted images of the Nass River, warning its members not to travel. Emergency Response Manager Anthony Moore said the floods cut off access to 3 of their 4 communities from Terrace.
It reached its peak approximately 3 o'clock yesterday, to the point where the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure decided to close the road about to smaller vehicles and SUVs. They had plans to close the road about 10 o'clock in the evening as the water levels were very difficult to navigate to ensure that you were still on the road.
Moore said the flooding is due to high snowpack levels this year, following warm weather and then heavy rains. British Columbia issued a flood advisory and warnings affecting northwestern BC. Moore said he's only got to see flooding like this a few times in his life, but the Nisga'a communities were prepared.
They're all fully aware of the situation. Many of them have dealt with it before in the past. They've seen this type of water flow in the past and know how to deal with it, and we're fully prepared to be able to just stay home and be safe.
Moore is proud of the way his community handled this part of flood season.
This is flood season, and with the snowpack that we had, we were anticipating a decent flood season this year. So in a way, we were already preparing for it, which has saved us a lot of effort in planning.
The Nass Highway was reopened over the weekend after the water went down, and the province downgraded the warning today. Lee Wilson, APTN National News, Terrace.
Ceremonies honoring the 215 children found at the Kamloops residential school continue across Canada, but one ceremony in Alert Bay on Vancouver Island had visitors from the sea. On Wednesday, a group known as 7 Generations was drumming and singing in honor of the children found in Kamloops. As they started, a pod of orcas appeared and swam by the group. The video was posted to social media by Priscilla Bruce, who described capturing the uplifting moment for their community.
And they just had a little gathering down at the beach there to, honor them and sing. And yeah, it was amazing and beautiful. We believe our ancestors were with us, and yeah, it was so powerful.
Well, that is a nice way to wrap up your news to kick off the week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Melissa Ridgen. Dennis Ward will be back here tomorrow. Have a great night.